Hello, welcome in. Gonna be talking to Tom Foolery. He watched my video, he didn't like it. He had a lot of criticisms. I only got through half of his review, of my review. I took a shit ton of notes. Got a massive headache. I don't know if it was because of watching him, but I got a massive headache and I got nauseous. I'm still nauseous, still have a headache. I don't know why I have that, but I'm not feeling great, but I'm ready. He got progressively more upset with my video. I got progressively more upset with what he was saying. So I didn't see the second half. I'm sure he got even worse, but we'll talk to him in a bit. All right, looks like he's on there. You can just pop in. Okay. God damn it, dude. Okay, let's go.
I linked the Wick Kid convo with a couple of timestamps in content suggestions. Dan. It's just because your face is uneven, not the goatee. That might be it. Thing that is. What'd it do? I'm sad now. You're sad because you have a gray one? Smith?
What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up? Ooh. Ooh. Damn it. I hate it when this does this. This is so obnoxious. I go and try to change the length of the Discord screen and it won't show an arrow. It actually like shoots past it. There, wait. Oh, there we go. We got it. We got this. Now we do a little bit of this. Oh, no. Damn it. All right, I'm almost there. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop. All right.
All right, I watched your review. I watched first half of your review of my review, and I started feeling sick, so I couldn't. I don't know if it was because I was watching you or not, but I started feeling sick. I still feel a little bit sick. I don't know exactly why. But
Pretty common. People feel sick when they watch me.
Yeah. But I wrote. Oh, I have a lot of notes, like a lot of notes.
Well, let me just like. I
everything
feel
you
like
got wrong.
All of this is going to come down to. I gave the analogy of, you. If you go and tell somebody that I punched somebody in the face,
Right.
and you don't mention that they punched me 5 times first, that this is going to be like a very dishonest representation of what actually happened there, because you're making it sound like I did this horrible thing, and then you call it abusive and say he abused this person, when like I'm acting in self-defense. I'm returning fire. Now, so this is what I did when I talked to Destiny, is I said, okay, look, like you might think this is like proportional in the way that you're reacting, but I at least want that argument. You can't just say that. Like, I would like to understand how you could even think that's possible for some of these things, right? I expected the same from you, where you give the other side and then explain why you don't think it's proportional and why you think it's still abusive and wrong and why it's not self-defense in a lot of these cases. But I didn't even get the other side. And I understand that you're reading from the document.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You kept attributing it to me. I'm literally reviewing a document that is not about that side. It is about criticisms of Destiny. It is not about criticisms of Anna. It's not about criticisms of Lav.
Yes, but this is literally what everybody did with like Kyle Rittenhouse, where they're like, he shot all these people. He's so horrible. He shot all these people. They don't mention that a mob of people are attacking him and assaulting him over and over. Like, you are totally changing the narrative and the story when you're only looking at
There's two things here. There's a really big point that you're making, a really god-awful false equivalency between self-defense and retaliation. There are behaviors and things that Destiny could do in self-defense that are perfectly like justifiable and reasonable to defend himself, and that is not the same as retaliation. The things he can do to
things, yes.
Yes, so almost all of the claims in the report are retaliation and not self-defense. The self-defense would be to address the claims of abuse or whatever and say why this is wrong, literally like address like why this is not like true, blah blah, go over that. But what he does is he drags people through the mud. Like the reason that everybody like you yourself concluded believed that Anna was like potentially like. You had an argument on your commentary where you said you had it both ways, like in a completely fucking insane way, where you said that she's both. Well, we didn't know she actually was mentally unwell until she said she might have OCD. We just assumed that she's probably like a crazy stalker, and she might be schizophrenic and she might have BPD, but we didn't know she was mentally unwell.
I said we speculated on whether or not she was mentally unwell.
The reason everybody believed that, so the reason everybody believed that she was a fucking crazy schizophrenic BPT person is because of the narrative that Destiny put forward. You also accused me of spinning narratives. But me spinning narratives only makes sense in the context where I'm going against Destiny's narrative, which has already been spun.
But you're not just going against Destiny's narrative because you're not including the context of Destiny's narrative.
It doesn't matter.
You're not going against what it does because you're not going against what he's saying then. You're just making up something totally new.
No, I'm not.
Bro, if
making up something totally new. What is that? That just makes you claiming I'm making up something totally new makes no fucking sense. I'm telling the story from the perspective like it's not Destiny's perspective. This is the story of looking at his behavior as abusive. You can disagree or you can agree. You can say that like no, it's actually justified or whatever, but that doesn't discredit what the report is saying, what my commentary on the report. I'm looking at the evidence in the report and I'm judging it.
Okay. Let's get into your notes just real quick. Okay. The other day said to somebody, I am a Mr. Girl follower because I like Mr. Girl and I agree with a lot of the things that he says. My words are my own. They're not his. I'm not doing it because he did it. We just happen to have things in common to where we're going to do in similar things. This is the same thing with Destiny. A lot of people follow Destiny because they actually agree with the way that he assesses things. And they're not just being brainwashed by him with his narrative. They agree with his narrative. They have the facts in front of them. They're able to assess it. And they actually agree with his assessment. So just in the same way that you don't want people thinking that you're being brainwashed by Mr. Girl to go do things, I'm not brainwashed by Destiny. And I don't think most people are brainwashed by Destiny either.
But but me saying that I'm not me saying like what I was saying the other day was that I'm a Mr. Girl orbiter, and I chose to be a Mr. Girl orbiter because I have a similar worldview or perspective on things, and I realize that
Yes.
there's a demand for people that think like that, and like usually people that think like that, people like fucking hate because like if you think a little bit different, but also there's a high demand for it. It's like there's this weird push and pull where if you think of things in a nuanced spectrum way, and you know I don't know, you just have an empathetic fucking worldview, then people like both eat it up and they're also like you know they detest it, but there's demand for it. So that's why I became a Mr. Girl orbiter, and that is
Sure,
different
but your point was
from me
that
from me saying that I
they were discounting what you were doing,
no,
and
they're
just making
discounting
you
my
sound like you're
they're
this person just copying Mr. Girl.
yeah, they do that to me when I'm saying something like, oh, sounds like Max would say that. And it's like, okay, yeah, well, that's fuck you. Like I'm saying it, he didn't say it. So like it doesn't matter if it sounds like he would say it, but that's different from me agreeing with everything he says. That if I agree with everything he says, then that would be me agreeing with his total narrative. And I have criticisms of him in the video.
Destiny says, though. That's the thing, is I don't agree with everything
some people
Destiny
do.
says. And if you saw, that's fine. But if you saw my interview with him, where I'm pushing back on against a lot of the things that he said, and I do think that there were things that he did that were overboard and abusive and messed up. But I've said that to say I don't want to be thought of as the guy who's just copying what Destiny said. But when you're arguing, like even early on, you start arguing against what I'm saying. You're saying, well, you're just copying the narrative that Destiny's feeding you. I'm not doing that. I have my own information. You are making it sound like nobody would believe this stuff unless they ate it up from Destiny's narrative.
That's not what I'm saying. No, that's not actually what I said. What I said was, God fucking damn it, you streamed so fucking late. I lost my train of thought. But that's not what I was fucking saying at all. I was saying that that you are demanding of me that I give his narrative along with Max's narrative. No, yes, it is a narrative. Yes, it is a narrative. You're saying, and that's not me saying that. That's not me saying. That's not you saying that. I'm not saying that anybody who would disagree is brainwashed by his narrative. You're just telling me that in order to believe Max or Max's like assessment, Max's narrative of this shit, or my assessment of Max's assessment, in order to believe that, you have to see it contrasted to Destiny's narrative.
No, I'm not. I'm saying the facts, the fact of the matter, the facts that happened, the things that actually took place, and what each person did. But we would get what Destiny did, and then be told, "Wow, look how abusive that is." But out of context, and this is the entire conversation I had with Mr. Girl when he was on here as well, is he would keep telling me what Destiny did, but he wouldn't say why he did that. And over and over, I'm like, it does waste matters. Just like I said, if I punch somebody, that sounds horrible. That sounds very abusive, but it doesn't.
Horrible false equivalency. We'll go over this again. Okay, so the first things first, before any of my fucking notes, the big disagreement that both of us have that I think is a core disagreement with all of your criticisms of my video and all the criticisms of any criticism of Destiny within my video, is that you seem to believe that retaliation is justified, and I do not. Just because somebody does something to you does not. You said literally that like someone's setting a fire and Destiny's coming with a fire hose, and then after he does the fire hose, he's spraying on. I would say the better analogy would be someone sets a fire. Destiny takes his finger and then puts it out real quick with his tip of his finger, and then he lights their house on fire, because it's much more like his ability to cause like harm like in the way of like the arena of words is like dramatically more powerful than any of these people, and everything that like the opinion about any of the people that he retaliates against is completely driven by what he says. So I think his it's like I before I read this report, I used to believe that like, well, like if a woman hits a man, then like shouldn't she expect to get hit back? Because like, you know, like it's like why would you like tempt that, you know? And after I read this report taught me, I've changed my mind on that. I think that if you are stronger, you have a responsibility not to beat the shit out of weaker people.
You don't hit them at all. It just means that you don't overdo it. And so I agree with you on that part, that sometimes he overdoes it. but not that he just shouldn't hit it all. So let's go to,
no, that's not,
no,
hold on.
Hold on.
I don't want to move that. I don't want to move past that point.
We don't have to do anything. Just let me finish what I'm saying. Each thing that we've talked about so far relies on examples for us to actually decipher whether or not we're talking about narratives, whether or not it's retaliation, whether or not it's abuse. Each thing that we've said so far is pointless.
We're talking about worldview and perspective, because I disagree with what you just said. I disagree. We are, because we have a fundamental disagreement that you're not agreeing that you actually disagree with me, but you do. You just said that in order to gauge if like punching back is like justified or not, it's never justified to punch back. Punching back is never justified. Like if someone hits you, you punching them, like sure, self-defense, like in a like life or death situation, but that's not what this is. Like if someone makes an accusation about you, you dragging them through the mud and talking about how they're an insane, crazy stalker person, not justified ever. Like you can do it, and we all do it, and it's understandable. It's not understandable when it becomes a pattern. But what's justified is to take what they're saying. Defending yourself is not the same as destroying their reputation.
Okay, so again, that relies on an example, but
no,
let's
doesn't.
say, yes, it does, because I don't agree that that's actually what's happening. So it does rely on an example.
But do you agree with what I'm saying?
I don't agree.
There is no example.
Hold on. Let's say somebody walks up to me and they say, Tom, I'm going to punch you. And I say, okay, you punch me. I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Mm-hmm. Am I doing something wrong there by going ahead and telling them that I'm going to knock them out if they punch me?
No.
Okay. But I am kind of blackmailing them, right? I'm telling them like, yo, you do this, I'm going to do it to you 10 times worse.
Okay, yes, there is something wrong with that. You said 10 times worse, yeah. There's a difference between defending yourself, like so you're trying to sneak in that it's okay to retaliate. No, it's not. Like so, yeah, it's okay to defend yourself and protect yourself. If someone's about to cause harm to you, if you have to fucking like fight to disable them to prevent them from causing harm. Once they are unable to fight now and you keep punching, then you should be locked up. If you are like if I don't know, if they're way weaker than you, I don't know if like legally you're going to be like locked up, but I just don't think that's acceptable. Like somebody way weaker than you beat the shit out of them. You should pin them down or do whatever you have to do. Call the cops.
We have a fundamental disagreement.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We don't need an example. It's a fundamental disagreement.
I think that, well, no, with the other things, we still need examples on whether or not it's narrative versus facts. But like I believe that somebody has that they can't just do bad things and get away with it. That there should be consequences for those people.
Right.
And,
I don't.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't think because like sure we should. I think that we should people should not be allowed to do bad things. We should stop them. We should protect ourselves. But I don't think that it's my job or your job to punish people that do bad things to us. I think that's like fucked up and evil.
It's only my job to punish people who do bad things to me.
No.
It is only my job.
So that is the core disagreement between me and you, and every one of your criticisms of my video stems from that exact disagreement, where I do not think it's justified for Destiny to be punishing people that criticize him and shit. And you can say, oh well, it's proportionate to the amount that they did it to him. It doesn't matter how proportionate it is, and with the amount of power that he has, the amount of responsibility that he has is also extremely way fucking more. So so not only is it just like completely unjustified, but it's completely like I'm speechless on how unacceptable it is.
It is self-defense because you are trying to stop the other person from doing more of this. It is still self-defense. Like even the retaliation is still self-defense. Like if I knock them out just because they punched me, it's because I don't want them to try punch me again. Like it's like a retaliation in these cases, in these examples that I'm thinking of, they all seem like self-defense to me because they're trying to make sure that this person doesn't do it again.
All right. So when someone comes at you with their fists and you happen to have like a shotgun and you like shoot them in the head, and you know, like you aim at your head, you aim it right at their head, and you got the sure shot, and you're like, I'm gonna shoot them right in the head because they're coming at me with their fists. Yeah, sure, that's self-defense. But yeah, fuck that. Like, shoot him in the foot if you had to. I don't know, like if you had the, I'm saying like he has like the power, the ability, like it's just, he's so unwilling to be the bigger man in any of these situations where it's utterly within his power, and it's like he's like older, wiser, like it's just completely unfathomable that like he's not able to do that, and that he's teaching his audience that like to never be the bigger man. He's teaching his audience that like retaliation is great, and that this is like the way to be, and this is justified and good. It's fucked up. It's abusive behavior.
So justified, like, yes, I think that everybody generally, especially like with even the way that the law works, like this is what we would consider justified. Whether or not it's good or virtuous, like, yeah, we would say like, yeah, be the bigger man, like that would be better. But we don't expect people to do the best thing at all times. There's a spectrum, Smith. There's a spectrum of good things that you can do. And just because you're finding something that is better than what he did doesn't mean what he did is bad. Now he would have to actually like have absolutely no reason to do this, or be lying or doing something immoral there, like Lav, like Anna, like all of the people.
I think
Mr.
he was
Girl,
doing something immoral in response to them.
Making up stuff.
I'm not. What are you saying? I'm making up stuff. What did I make up?
So the narrative building that you did around stuff, without
every time you said narrative building,
adding in the context. If I say you punched somebody and you don't actually add in that they punched him first, yes, I would say that that's a lie.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you why it's not a lie, because I'm saying it doesn't fucking matter at all. Like, yeah, and also, sure, if there's one instance where he retaliates like that, and it's like a clash between two people, who fucking cares? It's not a fucking big deal. But like when it's a pattern where they keep fucking falling on the sword every single time, they keep throwing themselves to the fire, and he just keeps letting it happen, keeps full out retaliating, keeps letting them fucking do this. Like he knows what's going to happen. He's just enjoying doing it. That's why
you're asking him to fall on the sword, Smith. You're asking him to fall on the sword, and it's not even his decision to be included in any of this in the first place.
That is not true.
You just said it'd be better if he would just be the bigger man.
Yes,
you are asking him to fall on the sword.
Okay, falling on the sword means giving up your fun toy of retaliation, then yes. Because you don't need to retaliate to actually address this type of fucking shit. You don't have to fucking like take like all of your might and like throw it at somebody. You don't have to do that. You don't have to send your community to kiwi farms to fucking like protect yourself. You don't have to fucking like paint someone as totally fucking crazy. And by doing this, now he's forcing them into a situation where now they're like now that's what makes the looping happen, because now they're becoming more mentally unwell. He's destabilizing their fucking life, and they're clearly always going to be very online people. So like a lot of their like existence now is going to be like they're like bombarded with like fucking negativity, like to an extreme.
That's part of being a streamer, but
okay.
The looping stuff, we didn't know what was causing the looping until she told us. Like nobody knew, okay. And then he did. Like everybody stopped. Literally, nothing's happened since she told everybody that that was what was causing the looping.
Something that Anna said, which is true, is that, and it's in the report. It's a really great point. It's a fact that abusive relationships are almost never one-sided. They are always two-sided, where like there's abuse coming from both sides, and people will respond by retaliating, and that makes the other one respond by retaliating. This is, I'm paraphrasing now. I'm kind of bringing it into our conversation here, but and she points out that Destiny is behaving abusively towards her. And she's not saying that she's not being abusive. She's saying that the way he's responding, he's calling self-defense, but it's aggressive and abusive. And that is the problem going on. And she painted it, that was like near the fucking beginning of the story. She painted it perfectly. She's clearly knew she wasn't well enough to handle him keep continuously doing that, and she's like, I need you to fucking like, I like. First of all, she set these boundaries at the very beginning of the relationship. That she said that she was not comfortable with this type of relationship. She was criticizing the way he engages in these relationships. She said it didn't make her happy and it made her feel unwell. And he continued to engage this. Then he continued to keep sexting her more after her throwing herself on the fire. So it's like he's witnessing this cycle where she's forcing him to abuse her, or she's like allowing herself, however fucking retarded way you want to phrase it. He's forcing her to abuse her, and so he keeps letting this happen over and over like a cycle. I don't understand why the fuck you could be nodding your head no right now.
Because from what I remember, she was criticizing his relationships with other people, not with her.
Okay.
She wasn't criticizing his relationship with her, but you're acting like he should have known not to engage with her the way that he was, when she wasn't criticizing his relationship with her. She was criticizing his relationship with other people.
Well, that's contrary to what I read in the report. I remember reading her. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That probably happened. I don't doubt it. But I read in the report that she was criticizing the way that he was treating her. And at the beginning, he said that she was not comfortable with that type of relationship, and she said that she was afraid that he would abandon her. And then he abandoned her because he engages in relationships in this way that she doesn't like. And then she started like freaking out, and she knew that this would happen, and she warned him.
Mentioned in there, she's engaged in open relationships before she was with him.
I wrote that down.
Her last two relationships were open relationships, according to her. So
And so why does that fucking matter? So I've been in relationships with people that are incredibly against being in polyamorous relationships because they have been in polyamorous relationships. So the fact that she has experience in polyamorous relationships gives her even more insight to know what she is comfortable with and what she is not comfortable with. That does not discredit her in any fucking way. And probably, I'm assuming like that probably is something that came from Destiny. That like pointing out, oh, see, she's been in poly. No, that's a point to her credit, because now she's more self-aware to know that she doesn't like that kind of relationship.
I haven't heard her say that. I everything that she said that I've heard her talk about says that she doesn't have issues with open relationships. Her issue was with the way that he didn't contact her sometimes, that she would message him, he wouldn't respond for days, and she didn't like that she was getting ghosted, that he doesn't have like an emotional attachment to people. And she said that these were like dark triad traits where like he could just kind of have very intimate moments with people and then totally detach and not feel close or intimate with them whatsoever afterwards, and that those were her issues. And he says, well, I have like a fiance, like I have somebody else that like these are just kind of like side relationships, and this is just kind of the way it is. She had the options over and over to not be in that relationship.
So why did if she was saying that, then why did he keep engaging with her then? She was making these boundaries clear. So it doesn't matter. So like the way he's behaving is going to be harmful to her. So it's not his problem; it's her problem.
Generally, that's the way that works. Yes.
No.
But
if someone establishes these boundaries, they say, if you behave like this, is going to be harmful to me. I don't know that she
established boundaries. You keep saying that. I don't think that happened. I don't think she established boundaries. I think that she was criticizing him and the way that he has relationships with people.
Like I already told you, I'm not doubting that happened, but I'm also telling you that she told him that she does not want to be abandoned, and that she is afraid that when they'll have, like, this is at the very beginning. So she told him that this would happen at the very beginning of the whole fucking thing.
Yeah. But those aren't boundaries. Like her telling him that she's afraid of being abandoned, that's not a boundary. You keep saying boundaries, and that's where I'm taking issues. Those boundaries didn't exist.
Okay. If someone tells you that if you behave in a certain way, it will hurt them, you should take it upon yourself to make that a boundary. And I think if you don't, that makes you kind of an abusive person. Unless you have a good reason, and there is no good reason here, except he wanted to get his rocks off.
So, like, Jonah Hill tells a girl that he's uncomfortable if she keeps posting bikini pics on Instagram, and she keeps doing it anyways. You think she's being abusive to him?
No.
But he's established the boundary, and she's doing it anyways.
It's different. It's like that's like it's different because it's in the middle of the fucking relationship. The whole argument about that whole thing was him springing those boundaries upon her like randomly, with them being so extreme and so third world or like dystopian, like anti-woman, like shit. Like we live in a feminist country. It's not acceptable to like fucking tell your girlfriend that who's a surfer, that she can't surf anymore and she can't fucking like that's my opinion. Okay. That's how I feel about that. If you lived in whatever a third world country and I don't have values that I have, then yeah, sure. I guess her like her doing that could be abusive to him. But I just don't. I don't have those values. If we can argue,
okay,
like that's
so
here's the thing about
one,
abuse. Abuse only makes sense in the context of what you value. So if I value so if someone says that like they're doing this behavior, like if you have sex with me and then you do not, and then you abandon me and then you don't like respond to me, that's going to hurt me, and then you just do it to them anyway, I think that you're an abuser.
So first off, like there's got to be some sort of like time dependent things on there. Like I believe when she sent the 40 messages, that was when he didn't talk to her for like 2 days. And it was because he had set up boundaries saying that he didn't like her psychoanalyzing his relationship with Melina, yet she kept doing it anyways. And then he just stopped talking to her. And
that's fair.
Then
that's fair. He should have just stopped talking to her altogether and like completely cut her off. I don't understand why there was ever like she can then like say like, oh yeah, he had sex with me and then he stopped, and that makes me think he's like dark triad. He can then do a stream where he says, no, I'm just like this. I have relationships like this, and I'm not a dark triad abuser. I just like I like to have these polyamorous relationships with these side people, and he could have just said that and ended it there, but that's not where it ended. So why did it continue?
Because from what I understand, he was very clear that this is the way that he was going to have relationships from the very beginning. She started
yeah, but
criticizing
that's not what I'm telling.
Later.
I'm telling you at that point. At that point, when she like had so they had hooked up, and then he stopped like talking to her, and he set this boundary with her because she didn't like her psychoanalyzing him. It made her uncomfortable. That's perfectly fine. And then so what he should do is just like completely cut her off. Like she's breaking his boundaries. So like he should have just cut her off, and then she goes on her stream. When he cuts her off because she's now going crazy, right? So she goes on her stream and she says that he's like a dark triad person and that he has these unhealthy relationships and so on. Then he should address that, and like I said, and explain why that's not true. And he doesn't have to drag her through the mud and call her a crazy person for like it's like entertainment for all of his fucking audience and shit. He just has to address that, and then he never has to talk to her again. Except it didn't end there. He did talk to her again. He did keep sexting with her, like this person who reacts to the way he engages in these relationships in this way, he's still fucking sexting with. Like, it makes no fucking sense. He is like completely brazen and has no respect for her or care for her well-being whatsoever.
I don't know that that's true, because every time he would stop talking to her, she would keep going live anyways, keep saying stuff about him. He's said numerous times that over the course of years, the only way that every time she would stop is if he was talking to her.
Okay,
when she would stop doing
why?
Stuff,
so why is it? Why is so? If he addresses the claim that she's making, that he has these unhealthy relationships, and he makes her think that he's a dark triad person, like that's the claim going on initially, then him not having sex with her and not engaging with her gives her nothing else to talk about. He can address that claim and talk about why that's not true. If she starts making shit up about him, like he's not engaging with her anymore, but engaging with her more, like that makes no fucking sense.
No, you're oversimplifying that, Smith. It was like constant nonstop harassment where she wasn't just doing streams. She was tweeting about him nonstop. She would start exaggerating claims more and more. Then she started going to his friends and telling them behind the scenes. Then she started popping up on panels that he was on with and like invading the space that he's in and all of his friend groups, and starting showing up where he was Like, it was not, you're oversimplifying. Like, she would
Okay.
just say things, and now he can just go say she's wrong and then move
I don't
on.
think
That's
Twitter.
not
The only thing that that's concerning is like with talking to like his friends or whatever. That's concerning. I would talk to my friends and say, hey, there's this fucking crazy stalker who's talking to you guys. So just bear that in mind. If this person talks to you, these are the things they're saying about me. That's different from dragging her publicly. Like, this should all be done in private.
that is what he did, but she continued showing up where he was. Like, you're saying, like, hey, look, man, you're being abused over and over. You have people harassing you and stalking you, but just like, just keep putting up with it and just deal with it, dude. And just like, don't try to like make it stop. Don't try to, you have a girlfriend who's annoyed by this as well, and she's also getting harassed, and
Okay.
like, yeah, just deal with it, bro. Just, it's
So,
no big
like,
deal. Like, you
if
are
he didn't have
constantly
a stream,
putting all of the onus on him, and you don't seem to be empathetic for what he's going through and his people are going through at the same time.
I mean, yeah, it sucks. So let's say that he's not a streamer and he's just a random person with a stalker that's like, harassing them and talking to people they know and stuff. Then what can you do? You can go to the cops. You can you can talk to the people in your life. You can try to like protect yourself and like make sure that you set up like protections like with your information and stuff like that. These are all things that a normal person would do, except he has this extra ability because he's got this stream. So he can, the extra thing he can do is now he can publicly humiliate her and drag her through the mud. So that and I don't think that that's acceptable, and I don't think that that's like that just fucking abusive behavior. Like, just because there's a reason he's doing it, and it might help to, and also it didn't help him because you're saying, we agree that the only thing that ever helped was him placating her and sexting with her even more. So like, so the thing that you're saying would protect him actually never fucking protected him whatsoever. It made her fucking loop more. It made it worse because abuse happens like as two parties, and he's the quote unquote protective behavior like is actually retaliatory behavior, and retaliatory behavior in the face of someone who's behaving abusively is not a way to make them fucking stop abusing you unless you literally actually like completely debilitate them.
So to this day, it seems like after she came out with all the stuff about the OCD, the only time that she started looping again was when Mr. Girl did all of this stuff because people were talking about it again. Outside of that, everybody stayed pretty quiet. Nobody's done a bunch of reviews. Nobody's talked about her very much. And when she goes and says stuff, she deletes the VODs later and it all disappears. And that's the end of it. And they've probably been sexting this entire time and nobody has any clue because now they've set up, like they figured out what the hell was going on. But
that makes
during
sense. So
the
solution is now. So, okay, so we figured it out. The real solution here is I got to keep sexting you.
He likes her too. Like, yes, he likes her. She likes him, but she has a mental illness. People with mental illnesses should be able to be loved and have relationships and be able to talk to people and engage with others.
Weird parasocial relationship with a streamer you're obsessed with that's going to keep sexting you, and if they stop sexting you, they're going to go fucking crazy.
I don't know that she had a parasocial relationship with him. I think that's I don't know that. Do you know that?
It's fucking obvious.
No, it's not.
Okay, parasocial. He's not giving her the same amount of socialization that she's giving to him. It's fundamentally, utterly parasocial by fucking definition. Like she is like obsessed with him, thinking about him all the time, and he doesn't want to give her the time of day, and that makes her fucking go off and send all these fucking messages. That's literally what a parasocial.
With him.
Okay, you don't think but she had OCD about him.
No, not about him, about the stuff that was being said about her. It was other people talking about this stuff. It was him going on stream and talking about this stuff. It was other streamers going on and talking about this stuff like we're doing right now, or like what Mr. Girl did.
That goes contrary to what you said earlier, where she was like talking about him for no reason, and she like if you stopped talking about her and stopped talking to her, then she would just keep going off and off. But what you're saying now is the thing that she was obsessing over was the fact that he was retaliating against her, and she had to respond to it, which makes perfect sense to me. I agree.
Yes. Wait, I'm not sure what you think is contradictory there. It's not just talking to her. She said that the things that made her loop for everybody else talking. If he talks to her, that doesn't stop her from going
everybody
on stream
talking
and saying
shit
things.
about
She
her.
still does this. She still randomly goes off about him and says crazy stuff, and then it disappears after a couple of days. But other people reviewing it and talking about it and all of that stuff is what made her loop. So the talking about him, then as far as I understand, like the last I checked, it was still happening. But
the looping is just, to me, like, I don't understand why it's a loop. It's like, it's just like unhealthy, defending herself unhealthily, unproductively, but she's defending herself. Like, that's what it is.
Because it's the same things. She just repeats the same things over and over and over and over. She'll have like 5 talking points that she repeats over and over and over, and she'll go live for days and stay live for hours, just saying the same 5 things over and over and over and over.
Okay. So there we go. It's justified.
Again, I don't know what else you want from him. I think that this is a horrible situation that he did not decide to be in, and he's doing the best he can within it. But in the moment,
using
when things are coming out about you,
using every lever of power that he possibly can to destroy her, because he wants to make it stop.
And it's not her.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to make stop. It's not easy when you have a stalker. It's not easy to make them stop. But when you have a big stream and stuff, and first of all, like, she's stalking him because that she told him like it would be hurtful to engage in a relationship like this, and he did it anyway. So, like, first of all, that's on him. Like, it's on him that this is if you want to engage in polyamory, you're gonna have to fucking be careful, because this is bound to happen. There's people, not a lot of people are gonna be actually comfortable engaging like that. Most people, in fact, aren't. Destiny's fucking said that himself. So if you're going
polyamorous, though. She wasn't polyamorous. Like, they have an open relationship, but they're not polyamorous, from what I understand.
Okay.
They
are hooking.
When you talk about him
hooking
retaliating, you're talking about somebody who is not a credible person saying things that are not credible, and him discrediting her. Like, when you say, like, he's calling her crazy and all of this stuff, like, yes, he is discrediting somebody, saying things over and over about him. He has no clue what she's going to say next, and he discredits her to make sure that people are not believing the stuff that she's saying.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't like that. That's to make sure that people don't agree with the stuff she's saying, I think is, like, fundamentally.
You said that's what he should do.
No, I think he should.
Go and make sure that people don't believe this.
It is no. That's not what I said. I would never fucking. I might say that, but if I do say that, I'm wrong. That's what I would say in my worst, like, moment, because, like, you to make sure nobody ever believes her. That's not the same as addressing what she's saying and protecting yourself, like saying like this is what happened. Like, make everything public about what happened in the relationship, exactly, so there's no, like, then just cut it off, move on. She can fucking talk about you all she wants. You're clearly, you have an unhealthy impact on her. Continuing sexting with her, that's not acceptable. She's like, there's no healthy relationship that can go on from here. Just whether or not he's a coomer and fucking wants it doesn't fucking matter. Stop engaging with her. Tell all the details of what's gone on. Make so that people know, like, and they can fucking draw from. There's no abuse going on, and now you can just drop it.
That could be never ending, Smith. That can be never ending.
It can't. No, it can't, because they've only had.
Never ending.
They've only had. It doesn't matter how. Like, she can keep looping about it and shit, but you're not engaging with her anymore, and you've already, like, addressed every claim, so there's literally nothing else that can happen.
There were new ones coming out all the time, Smith.
Yeah, but if you make
there were new ones coming out all the time.
Yeah, well,
you're saying he has to keep addressing things nonstop.
What I said was, if he cuts her off and no longer engages with her, there are no new things to talk about. At that point, if she starts coming out with new shit all the time,
true.
If at that point, that is true. So they've hooked up, and they had this, like, relationship that had gone on, I don't know how long. Okay, there's only so many things that can happen there. After he stops talking about her for 3 months, she comes up with some new fucking story, and she keeps coming up with new fucking lies about him. It's clear at that point that they're lies. Like, it's like, if you just cut it off.
I promise you. Listen, I promise you. There are, after, you would think that would be the case after, like, the first 5 or 6 times, right? But again, after like a year and a half of this, even me, lots of us would hear something new and be like, and she would put out some like, texts that are out of context, and we'd all look at Destiny like, wait, what the hell, dude? This one looks weird. She is a cute, blonde hair, blue-eyed girl that people just happen to want to believe regardless of what's happened in the past. And then people like you and Mr. Girl come out and do it all over again, because people are always going to do this with her. There's always going to be somebody taking her narratives and then starting to push them on him.
I'm actually not.
There is.
I'm actually not. No, I'm actually just analyzing Destiny's behavior towards her. I'm not really like the things that are in the report are not the claims that she has made about him. Like there are DMs between her and Lav where she says that Destiny, like the worst like in there is that she says that Destiny told her that he's a psychopath. Like that's the worst like thing that like comes strictly from her, just a narrative from her. But like all the rest is like literally his direct treatment of her and his direct treatment of Lav. Like it's not like this narrative shit that's spun from her. It's literally about his retaliatory behavior and why that is unacceptable. And I know that you disagree with me about what is acceptable retaliatory wise. And I like we just have this fundamental disagreement.
Why the facts matter is that as we're going through this, I'm hoping you're starting to understand that like she comes out with something new. Everybody blows up on Twitter. They start like retweeting it, talking about it. People are in his chat asking him to respond to new things. All of his enemies, everybody that hates him is going over this stuff and talking about it, having her on to talk about how horrible he is. Like it was just it just kept happening. And every time you thought that it was over and she was gone, she was come right back out of nowhere. And like over time, you would have more and more people just like, oh no, this is happening again, dude. What the hell? But there's always a new white knight to bring her on and to push her stuff.
Okay, so was the looping happening because of the way people were talking about her, or was the looping happening because she was obsessed with Destiny?
It seemed to be because of the way people were talking about her.
And what was it? Was it because people were defending her, or was it because people were talking ill of her?
Both. So like
both.
The more people, so the more people defend her and the more they spread her message, the more people are going to start responding to it and trying to like debunk the claims or talk about like, I don't know, Destiny, this is a weird one. I don't know about this one. And so the question is like, we don't know why the initial claims came out each time.
So you're
like,
also
what pushed her to out of nowhere make a new claim? Nobody knows. I still don't know that part.
I don't think it makes sense that it would be both people like speaking ill of her and also people in defense of her. I think that people in defense of her, it's going to make perfect sense. It's going to make perfect sense if people defend her for her to be emboldened to defend herself.
Yes, the looping was because of people pushing back against her. That was where the looping came from.
It's not because of people defending her.
But I'm saying the people who start talking about it and reviewing it and pushing back are only doing it because other people are amplifying her message.
Okay.
That's why I said
amplifying her message is bad because it amplifies her message. She keeps saying the same things 5 times over and over, but there's no new things coming out all the time. So there's a contradictory in what you're saying too. You're saying that literally looping, but also new things coming out all the time. Like, so which one was it?
It is both. So a new thing comes out. She's got like her 5 talking points on that thing, and then stream after stream after stream, she's looping on it. Same thing.
So the looping is just like people are telling her she's full of shit, and then she's defending herself again.
Yes. Then it goes away. Then she comes out with a new claim with 5 new talking points and loops on those and loops and loops and loops and loops. Then it goes away. New claim, new 5 talking points, loops and loops and loops and loops. This is how it just continued.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that to put it in the phrasing of, I think people, I would assume on your side of the camp, I would say if you're a public figure, sometimes you have like stalkers. Like you're a streamer, you're gonna have stalkers. Some people that you have, if you have sex with fans, that tell you that they don't want to like engage in relationships that where like it's just a hookup and they and then they're gonna start spamming you because like what's going on? I thought like this was like real love or whatever. Yeah, like that's kind of gonna happen. So so you
She didn't
engaged.
do that, but yeah.
Essentially, it seems like she was in love with him.
I don't think so, but I thought that for a while. I thought that for a while, but it became more and more obvious that was not the case over time. And so like she recognized that, Destiny recognized that, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you're a public figure and you have sex with fans, and you have sex with fans that tell you that having sex with them is going to make them obsess over you, and then they start stalking you and stuff. I think that in the words of your side of the camp, that's just comes with being a fucking public figure that has sex with their fans as a caveat, especially if you have sex with your fans. And well, because you're a public figure and because you're a streamer, you have this extra weapon. So you're allowed to have sex with your fans in this irresponsible way, and then you can use your platform to destroy them when they start obsessing over you. So that's like just not, that's abusive.
If it's just an obsession and then and then he goes and destroys them, sure. But you're like strawmanning the hell out of this with narrative.
No, it doesn't matter.
Make it sound way different than what actually happened.
No, like if she's actually crazy, I don't think I'm not convinced that she's crazy, but if she, like just saying like assuming she's like completely crazy, like that makes it even more unjustifiable to destroy her like that. There should be even more like compassion, not less.
You have a big platform. A schizophrenic comes out, starts saying that you rape them. They have DMs with you. They have pictures with you. Everybody knows that you guys knew each other. They start saying that you killed their cat, that you've been sexting their mom, and you come out, you disprove all these claims. They come back and do it again. They do it again. But when you disprove the claims, you're doing it on your platform. And you're not only like, you can't only say they're wrong, but people want to know, well, if they're wrong, then why the hell would they say this? Why the hell would they say this? Why would they just make stuff up?
I already said
why
this.
would they do that?
I already said this. So what you do?
Yeah, they're freaking crazy. They just do this. This is what they do.
So what you do, like in the case of like somewhat like Anna type situation, is you lay out all the facts of the relationship with this schizophrenic. I don't know, you're just like, you're giving me like no context, like ironically, but there would be context as to why you had a relationship with them. So you would say like, this is why I engaged with them. This is what we did. Like I didn't understand this about this person. Now clearly they're like fixated on me, but that doesn't mean we should hate them. It doesn't mean we should bully this person, harass them on Twitter. We should not be going harassing them on Kiwi farms. We should not be dogpiling them. This is someone who like deserves like love and stuff. But we should I'm not doing anything wrong. And you literally can do all that. You don't have to fucking drag people.
If they're a public figure, they're streaming, they're going out, they're putting this stuff out on their platform. People are already going to talk about this person. Like, they're obviously, the fact that the message is spreading so much is already obvious that people are talking about these people. Tons of other streamers, big freaking streamers were talking about the stuff that she was doing. Like,
yes, but
it wasn't.
Yeah, but I'm saying when you are the person that they are like obsessing over or whatever, and then you go on your stream and your way to diffuse that is to make them look like shit, then it's going to make a fucking wave of hate, and then you direct people to Kiwi farms. Like you're saying, oh, it's just inevitable. No, the way you talk about people on your stream,
starting fights with people.
You shouldn't fight back with a crazy person like that's obsessing over you just because you have a big stream where you can tell everybody they're crazy.
When people say somebody's crazy, like they don't mean like literally like mentally insane. They should be in an asylum or something like that. Like it's like an insult. Like if I call somebody retarded, I don't mean like they ride the short bus. I'm saying like I'm discrediting their ability to think, right? Lots of people, when people talk about people being crazy, 90% of the time, they're not actually saying this person has a mental illness.
People were actually saying there's something actually wrong. Like you were saying that
after a while, yes, that was the case.
Everybody everybody assumed there's like literally like she's like got a voodoo doll of Destiny. She's smearing shit on the walls, writing Destiny on all of her walls. Like people thought she was like cartoonishly like evil and crazy. So
Yeah,
that's what he
but
painted her as a
that's
way to
after a
discredit
while,
her.
yes.
Like, so that's what he painted her as a way to discredit her, along with like, you know, like sending his like community to Kiwi farms and shit like that.
Sure, and I agree he shouldn't have done the Kiwi Farms thing. Like I'm not gonna defend that. Like the issue is not his retaliation over and over. It's like overkill. It's the way that he retaliates sometimes is just too much. But
Sure.
at the same time, I look at somebody who's an abuse victim, who's been putting up with this stuff for a year, and I don't know how much I expect of them at that point. Like they're going to get insanely infuriated. They're going to be
Okay.
tired of putting up with this. The people around them are tired of putting up with it,
Okay.
and they're trying everything just to make it stop.
Okay. I agree. Like it makes sense. And it's understandable. And we all do this. We all do this retaliation, this stuff that I'm saying is bad. We all fucking do it. Like, and it's hard not to sometimes. What I'm saying is, when you have that, first of all, it wasn't just one time. It was a cycle that kept repeating itself, and he kept feeding back into it by engaging with her again. Which I said, no matter what he did, he should not have no matter how much he thinks she's hot, he should not have continued to engage in that relationship with this person. Like that's like it's absolutely like out of the like for her own well-being. It's on like not just for his self-protection, also for her well-being. He should not be engaging with like her like that. And if she's actually like crazy, like he's the one with the, you know, like the faculties to be able to make those fucking like judgments. Also, the fact that he has a massive platform means he has a much higher responsibility. So there's a much higher bar of behavior that you have to like be held to than just any random person.
Again, so there's a difference between like a virtue and doing something wrong. It's not a binary where either you're doing something virtuous or you're doing something wrong. And you keep sounding like you're asking him to do something virtuous, and if he doesn't, he's doing something wrong. Whereas in this case,
There's
like the whether or not it's justified does not mean that now we think this is virtuous and this is the best way of handling it. It just means that, yeah, like we wouldn't say this is wrong based on the context,
but
based on everything that he's been through.
but it's like abuse. Like just because she's abusing him doesn't make what he's doing not abuse. And it's more harmful because of the power that comes with his massive platform. So he's doing more harm to her than she's doing to him. It's like, especially as time goes on, like it just like so. But basically though, like we're arguing this. Like we haven't gotten any of my notes. I don't know how much useful that is, but the point that we're started arguing with and that we've gotten here is that we have a fundamental disagreement on retaliation. But I'm coming to your side a little bit. I think that like sure we all do it. I'm saying that, you know, higher bar if you have a massive responsibility of a platform and stuff. I'm saying it was a cycle that shouldn't have been continued, so it wasn't just one interaction. But there's a level of retaliation that you cannot fault people for, like that we like. So if this happened this one instance, like it's just okay, like you got angry and you do that, but when it happens over and over, like it's just like I cannot fault someone for retaliating to some extent, but to the extent that what happens here is just extreme.
So not only when generally like in combat or in self-defense generally, it is not only recommended that you fire back, but that you escalate. That is like all training
Okay.
tells you always escalate, right? So, so yes, I think that when she does one thing, he should fire back with more force than she fired with in the first place. But
Right.
again, there are numerous examples that I agree that he like it was overkill for sure. Just not him firing back whatsoever. Like each time he fires back, this is not necessarily fire overkill, and there are lots of examples that we've been over here that just aren't overkill. That's just retaliation. It's just self-defense, and then there are numerous examples where it is overkill and it's going way
Okay.
too far.
I understand that, and it makes sense in combat, obviously, but I don't agree when it comes to this kind of thing. So that's our disagreement. Okay. So when you were criticizing my video by saying that I didn't have the appropriate context, it's because for you there is a context to which makes it appropriate, but I'm saying it doesn't matter.
But you say because it's abusive, there's nothing that will excuse this. And I'm saying, well, when it's excused, it stops being abusive. And this is what I did with Mr. Girl as well. Is he kept looping on this, where he kept saying, "Well, if it's abusive, you can't excuse
Well,
that." And I
also
kept saying,
retaliation
"Yes,
is
but
not the
if
same
it's
as self-defense,
excused,
by
it
the way.
stops being abused." Yes, I'm saying that it can be retaliatory and self-defense, and there are times that he did both. There are
Right.
times that like
But you can
that he
do
just
it
did
all
one.
without retaliating. You can do the self like so. A perfect example was
You
when
can, but it's not wrong to retaliate. It's
I
also
think it
not
is.
virtuous to retaliate.
I think it's wrong. I think it's not. It's I think it's wrong, especially when you have such a high responsibility and you have a powerful platform. Like I said, like for so here's an example of like so Max, the person who wrote the article about this, with this is basically his like I'm this is my filtered through of his work. He is not full of shit because he practiced what he preached. When Cherry and Stardust were saying that he flashed them or whatever on stream, and they had did you watch that stream when they had Cherry on? I think you were talking about
Mhm.
it. Yeah. And then
Yeah, I showed
Lavs.
it on
That's
the
when I
stream.
think that
Yeah,
was the dumb bitch Lav thing.
it was. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So Max was like, it was like really weird because it was not normal behavior. Like no, it was not the normal way we see people respond to this shit. So it was like, what is? It was like really odd to watch. But he was incredibly like charitable and compassionate to Cherry, and he's like, you're not crazy. I understand you feel this way, and I believe you feel this way. I'm going to show you. Like he lifted up his shirt. He's like, this is what you probably saw. Like and he. Like he's saying like you're not crazy you like you feel like this and that's valid, but like this is my experience of the situation and this is what I believe happened. So like and then it fucking like utterly worked. Like she like first of all she seemed to really appreciate that, and she came away with that not wanting to like to do any more, you know, like she's like and so I think that that is like a really good example of how this kind of thing like should go.
So when I reviewed it, that's what I said. I was like, he's handling this really well. I like what he's doing here. Um, I generally people think I'm too nice or too fair in the way that I retaliate to things. But then towards the end, he said, "Well, I want to scream and yell about this. I want to go off about how horrible this is and how you've ruined it for like other victims who actually have real, um, real claims. But I'm a man, and because I'm a man, I can't do that because I will look horribly optically. And so I have to just kind of sit back and take it and just slowly walk you through this. And hopefully I will make sense in the end." I also thought that he was, yes, just like taking the high road the entire way. But that's not what he was doing. He was terrified of
He was.
actually retaliating and was afraid that as a man he will look worse because he's being accused of sexual harassment.
Well, yeah, yeah, but that's because he's also terrified of. I remember he was doing a stream randomly with like Vito and like some other people, and they were like it was like TwitchCon and people were getting hurt and they were jumping into a foam pit but they were breaking their limbs, and like I think Vito was like making a joke about the appearance of the woman that like broke her like spine, and
Mm-hmm.
Max was saying that he was terrified of making a joke like that because it would make him look horrible. And it's not because like so like you can make a joke like that and it'll be fine. You can retaliate like Destiny, it'll be fine. The reason he's terrified is because he has these standards. He has these inhuman like outrageous standards that he holds himself to, like to the degree to like to the extent of martyrdom, where and it ruins his career. But he has these standards that he holds himself to that like are above everybody else. And in regards to retaliation, I think that this is like so I don't think everybody should be like him, you know, and be a martyr in every single way. But in regards to retaliation, I think that this is something we should learn from, because I do think that we're creating, when we promote retaliation as the status quo, we're making a system where it's a cycle of abuse that's going to like cause like a lot of fucked up situations, and I think we should try to fix that and rise above it.
I think he likes to frame things as though he's a martyr, but I think
Yeah.
generally he's doing some really messed up stuff at the same time sometimes, like seemingly outing Anna's information
Well,
without
that's
her
not what I'm
permission.
talking about. I'm saying
He played the martyr. He said, "Well, I
I'll talk
can't
about
tell
that in a
you whether or
second.
not I'm allowed to do it
I'll
because
talk about that in a
then
second.
it'll fall back on the victims. I want it to fall on me."
Sure. Yes. You're right. He did frame it like, yeah. I kind of I grateful, or I think I completely agree with that. But what I was talking about is stuff like he just like removed super chats from his website, just like cut off a bunch of money because he's like, oh, super chats are immoral, like that shit. Like he's just like,
Sure.
he just got like a value and he just shot himself in the leg for no fucking reason.
Sure.
So yeah, but I think I agree. He just puts himself in the martyr position constantly. But I do think he cares. I think he does want to protect Anna, and I think he wants to protect people. And I think that the perspective that he's giving forward about retaliation is like good. I think that we should not, because we're all abusing each other when we do that.
Okay, we can try to go to the notes. I don't know how we can go over any of this stuff with like such a fundamental disagreement. Like, I feel like, so I was planning on asking you to just talk about meta ethics because I have no clue what you believe morals are or how you come to these conclusions, especially like with the way that we talked about like abuse being on a spectrum, but then you didn't seem to include like it didn't have to be wrong in order to call it abuse, but then you said, okay, well, maybe it's wrong, but it's not morally condemnable, which is literally the same thing. And like just the ways that you talk about
Okay, I'll talk
morals,
about
it
that.
sounds so insane.
I'll talk about that. So I think that you can't be a perfect person. So like I said a second ago, like we all do this retaliation stuff. Like it happens, and like you can't fault people to like some extent. You know, I also said the more responsibility you have, the more you should be held to it. But so I think that a lot of abuse is stuff that we all engage in to some level. It's just like some people do it a little bit more, and then eventually gets to a point where it's like, oh, hold on, well, you really need to stop. And that line where we decide you really need to stop is different for different people and different in different cultures and different things and different value systems. So I think all these things are like bad, but I think we're all bad. You know, like if it's acceptable bad, but like it's bad as like you got you're a glass of water and you got food coloring and like we're all a little bit pink and we're dropping like red drops into it, and like yeah, we're all just a little pink. It's bad. You got the bad red drops in your water, but like we're all that. But some people have a little bit more red, and it's like you could put a little bit less food coloring in your water.
I guess, but we're like just saying everybody does things that are wrong. Like nobody disagrees with this, right? Like everybody agrees that we do things that are wrong. It's how do you decide what is right or wrong? How do you come to the conclusion that something is right or wrong? And what are your expectations of people? Like what are reasonable expectations of people in any scenario? And your the way like oh you and Mr. Girl both seem like a lot of times when you guys talk about something being wrong, it seems like you guys are actually saying it just makes me feel uncomfortable. Whereas like the rest of us, when we talk about something being wrong, we're talking about some sort of like negative outcome or some sort of harm that
that's not just that makes me
comes
uncomfortable.
from it, that like that is the thing that we're focusing on.
Right. So for me, it's causing like harm to people. So like in case of like the retaliation stuff, like the online retaliation, it's like and the doxing and with the community, it's the retaliation in the context of having a big community that creates like a lot of emotional distress. It puts you in danger because it like your information ends up getting doxed and people end up like hating you and obsessing you and tracking everything you do. And like, you know, every time you say anything online, people are going to like jump on you. And like, so I think that it's, you're making people's lives like much worse. And, when you make people's lives and you make them miserable, I think that's wrong. But like something that you could make someone's life miserable a little bit, maybe like, okay, so Lav, okay, with Lav, there's different memes about her, and some of them are like way more like gonna cause her, like, regardless of like who started it, if she starts it or not, like just some of them are going to like make her life worse than the others. And like trying to like get her, like her fiance to like break up with her, that's like a thing people do that's like way more harmful. But like I think like the dog fucking one, like there's a recent one like that she like that's just like goofy, like you know, like I don't, it's just, that's not that, it's not the same.
And the cat abuse and like, yeah, a lot of these things, they're just freaking weird. Yeah. Yeah, but the like somebody not liking music anymore. So that was one of the examples you brought up.
Oh,
That's not a
sure.
harm, right? Like you haven't
Yeah.
harmed that person by
Wait,
the fact
hold
that they
on.
lost interest in some type of music, right?
Okay, so yeah, so my example there was like, so let's say that I like listening to new metal, and my girlfriend, every time I listen to new metal, tells me how awful it is, and she goes into detail, and she makes it impossible for me to, like, now I just can't enjoy it. She's taken that away from me. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
a very small, like a level of abuse. That kind of thing happens all the time. But like she's like like I think by taking away your ability to enjoy something, she's caused harm. And so if so, like that's fine.
That's
It's
not
like
the same thing.
it's,
Taking
hold on,
away
that's
your
fine.
ability to
That's fine.
enjoy something
I'm
is
trying to
not
get.
the same as harm, though.
I think it is. I think it is. So, but like it would be, it would, it's a small harm. It's a small harm, but like if you make it bigger, like that example was trying to give you like the smallest possible like instance of harm I can think of. But if you make that bigger, like, so say like your partner, like literally everything you ever enjoy ever, they like destroy everything. Like they set boundaries. They, like, no matter what, if you enjoy anything, they make it so you literally, no matter what, like by all means you cannot have any enjoyment. Like now that's like, it's the same, like, but now it's like that's, there, you should have someone like step in and stop them from hurting you. Like that's harm. Like
It depends on how they do that. Like, so we got a spectrum. We got enjoyment over here, and we got harm over here, and then we got a whole lot of stuff in the middle that are neither. They're not either. But you're saying, well, now that it's not enjoyable, now it's harm. And I'm saying, no, it just moves into the middle ground where it's neither.
right.
Like now it's just kind of gotten into the middle, but you're calling it harm, and
Well, yeah,
it's
you're
not
moving.
harm.
So
There's
like,
no harm there.
yeah, I think taking away someone's joy is harm. Like it's so like they've got a scale where the quality of life is, and you're like lowering their quality of life. So like the more you lower it, the more harm. And but that's like a small, like little blip on the lowering scale. Like a small enough to be measurable.
No.
I
That's
think so.
no.
So we
That
disagree again, but I'm happy to disagree with you because that means
But my
we've,
point is that yes, but the point is that they're like you're calling things harm that just have no harm. Like in order for there to be harm, there has to be something actually like bad happening there. It
yeah,
has to actually be like
someone has lost joy and ability to enjoy. You've taken something away from someone. That's a loss, is harm.
yes,
It's like,
losing the ability to have something good is not the same as it being bad.
I think
Again,
it is.
you're equating things that are not the same. You're just saying it
Like, yeah,
falls into the
but
neutral
you
ground.
agreed with me that if you literally take away someone's like complete functionality to experience something good, like they can't enjoy anything
I
anymore.
said it depends on how they do that. So like let's say somebody is coming over and they don't want you to have friends anymore. They're being controlling. They don't allow you to talk to your family. They don't let you go to work. Like sure, that's a super messed up thing. But let's say instead they don't want to be with you and they break up with you and then you go into like a year-long depression and now you've lost your ability to enjoy everything
No, that's
now
not what
and
I'm
now you
saying.
just don't the person has not they did it to you. They did
No,
that. It's
they
what
didn't. They
it's
didn't do
their
it.
action that did it to you. Yes, it's their action that did it to
No,
you.
it's a lack
And
of
you
their
can even
action.
tell them ahead of time. You can even tell them ahead. No,
It's a
it's not a
lack
lack
of
of
their.
their action. They
Yes, it
actually
is.
broke up with you. That is an
Yeah, but
action.
like
It is not
the
a
reason.
lack of an action.
Yeah, but the reason that you're depressed in that case is because you don't have them. It's because you experienced a loss, and I think you're entitled to like not like give yourself to somebody like you. So like by your definition, if we were to call that a harm, then you would be saying that breaking up with someone is neglect. Except this is where I said abuse is subjective, because it depends on your value system. So in some cultures, you can say
Then
in
telling
some
them you don't
cultures,
want to listen to the music is a lack of an action. Then
sure.
it's you just telling them how much you don't want to do this action. You
Sure,
don't want to listen to this
yes,
music,
but
how
like,
much you
wait,
don't like
I
it,
got a big, I
and
got
now
a really
they
big
lose
point.
their enjoyment, and then
I got a really
they
big
lose their
point.
enjoyment in the music, and now you haven't done anything.
In some cultures, so if you're gonna say that you're like breaking up with someone is neglect, where you're causing harm because you're like depriving them of something that they enjoy, and now they're like spiraling into depression. That is true in a lot of like cultures in like maybe like Catholic or maybe like some like Muslim or like religious extremist cultures, where like like divorce like or breaking up is like seen as unacceptable. But so in different value systems we value different things, and we value the right to your own autonomy to be able to remove yourself from a relationship. So we don't consider that neglect because of our value system, but in a different value system we would consider it neglect. I have a value system where your ability to like be happy, like your ability to have any level of control over what people believe about you, like because like some like bigger like some big like streamer or whatever like starts dogging on you, especially if you've had sex with them and then they start dogging on you. It's like I think that you should that is by my value system, I think that's abuse.
Okay.
But we can have different value systems.
Hold on.
We can have different value systems, and that's chill. Like we can talk about that.
No. Because you're again, like the breaking up with them is an action. You are choosing to like exit their life. Like you are actually taking yourself out of their life, and you are changing your patterns of behavior and like the way that you engage with this person and cutting them off. Like this is an action that you are taking that can send them into a depression. Just as you can have your ability to express your opinion about how you don't like this music and how you can't stand it, and it's your lack of an action, like according to you, where you just keep saying, yeah, I don't want to listen to this music sucks,
my
it's so bad
hypothetical
and
was,
it hurts my ears and everything.
Yeah, you actually like tell them why it sucks, and you like teach them to hate it. Like that's what I was saying. I was saying like you teach them.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's similar to breaking up with somebody. It's you're like,
no,
similar, and you're driving. Anyways, the point is that there is one where you're taking away their enjoyment of things, and in the other one, you're also taking away their enjoyment of things. Right. But in one, we find this perfectly acceptable because we value your autonomy. Yes, because we value your autonomy, and you're allowed to make these decisions, and you're not actually. But in the other one, you're being overly abusive, overly controlling, and you're forcing them. No, in the other one where you're taking away their ability to like talk with friends, talk to their family, like go to work. Like yes, in this one, you're being overly abusive and overly controlling. And so in this one, yes, it makes sense that we would condemn this because in this scenario, when you're taking away their joy of everything, like this is actually in a manner that we would find condemnable. But in the other one, you've done the same thing, same outcome, but we don't condemn that because we find the actions that are getting you there to be perfectly fine.
Yeah, because we value your ability to remove yourself from the relationship and your autonomy.
Yes. It's about the utility of the action, whether or not we find that necessary.
Sure, but so in your example, you're saying you're like telling them they can't go to work and stuff. What you're doing is you're doing something that crosses our boundaries of our values, where you're saying that you're removing their autonomy, which is something we deem as unacceptable. So if you're causing harm to them by doing something we also deem as unacceptable, then it's clear-cut abuse. It's by like so if we both agree on the values, we both agree on that it's harm. harm. We both agree that's harm. We both agree on the values. It's just clear cut abuse. I'm saying that like in a situation where it's clearly like you're causing a detriment to their quality of life, but we don't agree on the value. So like, but I still consider it causing a detriment to their life, like is fundamentally like on the spectrum way, it's abuse. But that doesn't mean that we're going to like deem that as like something we can't allow. There's a lot of these like unhealthy or like not ideal behaviors that we engage with all the time, like complaining about like any fucking like just random shit. Like there's a lot of things you can do like that, and those things add up. And if you do a lot of those things, suddenly you got like a cluster of things that are now dramatically lowering someone's quality of life. We have to make judgments personally and societally on whether we or not we think that like these types of things should be allowed once they get to varying degrees of extremity. So I am saying that I value like the things that I value might not line up with other people. So the things that I think are abuse might not line up with other people's whatever people think is abuse. And I think that's acceptable, especially if we break it all the way down to values and we have it perfectly laid out on the table. Because what I'm saying I value is I think that on the internet we have like these. We just think anything goes. Like as long as it's not illegal, it's okay to do. And I think that we need to have more social rules regarding like how we engage with people online, especially when you have a big stream and a lot of power. Like you think there should be more social rules on you.
Point in thinking something's immoral or bad. Like what's the point in saying that's bad?
Because I think people shouldn't do it.
Right. You don't want people to do it. So when you just keep saying like, oh, it's okay, we have different values, like whatever. Like, no,
Yeah.
The point is that it's a prescription. Like you want people to abide by these rules. That is the hope.
Sure.
Is that people actually, that this is like a social norm. But if you have a norm that nobody else finds acceptable, like some rule that nobody else thinks is, like a rule that makes sense, and you're calling something abusive that nobody else thinks is abusive, you've lost all utility in that.
Okay, yeah, but
claim.
that's not the case with the internet stuff, because it's clearly emotional abuse. It is just that in the context of the internet.
We're talking about meta ethics right now. Okay, you keep going back to Anna and these other things.
But that's
talking about meta ethics.
You're telling me I'm doing something and I'm not doing.
Call things abuse and within the examples that we're talking about, I wouldn't make that my. Well, I wouldn't make it my. I see a small thing that could cause like a little bit of harm, it could cause harm if there was a lot of it. So I'm going to call this harm and say that this is abuse. But I'm saying you lost utility in that claim.
No, I haven't.
If that little thing is like a speck of abuse,
no, I haven't,
but it's only actually.
You were telling me that I was making a prescription, and I'm not making a prescription about like the small things. I think we're all a little bit abusive, but that doesn't make us like an abuser. Like so.
Yes, but you're making a moral claim when you say that it's abusive. Calling somebody an abuser is.
We should all try to be as less abusive.
An abuser is a label. Like you're putting a label on somebody, right? So somebody doing something racist is the moral claim, but calling them a racist is the label. These are different
prescription.
Things.
You're right. I do have a prescription. I think we should try to not be like, by my definition of like this little incremental, I think we should try not to be abusive, but we can't avoid it. But so it's like just try to mitigate it. That's my prescription. It's like, so as much as you possibly can, try to mitigate it. That's all. What's wrong with, I think that's a good prescription.
Because it's not actual harm. That's
no
the point.
Lowering people's quality of life.
Harm. You're talking about things. Lowing, so I don't think that's quality of life. Is like not enjoying a band anymore. Or
okay, then we disagree on this specific example then, because I think that if you like ruin someone's ability to enjoy shit, then that's lowering. So what if like I'm just trying to think of not like a fantasy stupid one, like we're like I'm making up like a real one.
Like I used to enjoy watching Mr. Girl. I stopped enjoying that. My quality of life didn't go down whatsoever. Still same quality.
That's not what I'm saying.
Of life, but I used to enjoy it. Just don't anymore. That's
you also don't have like any type of like relationship, like or a commitment or responsibility. Sure, you could make a world.
Neither do you to a band.
Sure. So you can make a universe or whatever where you hold content creators to a responsibility where they have to make all of their like viewers happy, and then if they don't, they've abused their viewers, and I think that's ridiculous. I would
when
not.
we're talking about quality of life, we're talking about like an overall status, right? We're talking about like your ability to be happy, or your ability to feel comfort, or your
Right.
ability to
I thought
feel
of an
peace,
example.
or something like that, right? But taking away one thing doesn't change the status of your life, right? Quality of life is about the status of it. And
No.
you're saying, well, this one little thing
It's the
isn't
experience
enjoyed
of it.
anymore. That's a harm.
Quality
No,
of life is the experience of it.
It's not just the experience. It is like the overall status of it.
No, I don't agree. It's experience. It's fucking the experience. The status gives you
I'm
experience,
just
but
saying
you only
that you're
exist in your fucking
using
body.
words in a way that nobody else is using them, and so when you
No,
say
I'm
that,
not.
it doesn't make sense to people. I here, I can look up quality of life real quick.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can use quality of life in like a financial like way.
Says the standard of
Yes.
health, comfort, and happiness experienced by an individual
Okay, then I'm right.
or group.
Okay, then I'm right.
The standard is
Okay, so,
like about this.
So if you are no longer able to enjoy something you used to enjoy, the standard at which you used to hold your life is now lower, because now you are like there's like less for you to get out of your fucking life and experiences.
That is not a standard. That's just one thing. Like the status of how happy you are in life has stayed the same.
I clearly disagree. I had a better example. Let's say that you just don't bathe, and it makes the people's lives around you worse because you're really unpleasant because you smell really bad. Okay, so like that's like you're making people's lives a little bit worse, and we're like, you're sure people can just be fucking stinky and shit, but we don't like being around them. So that's like.
Do you know what abuse means? I talked about it during that stream. Like, you should know what the word is. Like it means to misuse something or someone, right? That's abuse. If we abuse a drug, normally it's like a prescription drug that's meant to help with some sort of ailment, but you're taking it to get high anyways. You're misusing the drug, right? So when you talk about somebody stinking around people, you're not misusing the people. You have not misused them whatsoever. We can't put this on a spectrum of abuse when it doesn't even qualify for the definition.
Okay, but you can when in the context of relationships. So so in a relationship where like you're part of someone's life, then I think then in that context, if not abuse, then neglect. Then by not showering, you're being neglectful, which is basically just a different part of abuse.
Well, neglect is like almost the opposite of abuse, because to misuse somebody is to do something to them. To neglect them is to not do something. But I don't even know that not showering is not doing something to them either.
Yeah, I think
not,
that
I guess it's not doing something for them, I suppose.
I think it's a minor amount of like neglect, and neglect and abuse are pretty like they're like equal. They're
you
just
would
different.
say you smelling bad is some sort of harm to these people, that they don't want to smell.
If you're in a relationship and you
smell, this is harm.
Yeah, but I'm saying this is like the smallest increment, like choosing not to shower or just never showering in your relationships, and like making if people that, I mean, maybe you're in a relationship with someone that likes it, but I'm assuming you're not. So like that's just a minor amount of like harm that you're causing to them. I'm just trying to break it down. I'm just trying to break it down into the smallest tiny.
But you're going to what I said you were doing, where it just feels bad. And this is like a different thing than like morality. It just feels bad to smell something stinky.
Right.
It just feels bad.
Feeling bad is a harm. Yes, feeling bad is harm.
I don't think so.
Like, so by your, like, if you don't agree to that, then emotional abuse doesn't exist.
No, because emotional abuse actually has like psychological problems with it, right?
Okay.
Like it actually.
So you cause enough emotional psychological
detriment.
harm. You cause enough emotional psychological harm, and not showering could be part of that. Then eventually it gets to the point where it's going to cause a lot of problems. for someone psychologically. Like, yeah, like I don't know like how I can. I'm trying to break it down into the smallest possible increments, but you seem to just not like accept that fundamentally. Like then you take the same thing, but then you blow it up again, and you understand. But then if I bring it, make it smaller, I'm trying to just show you that I wouldn't like label someone that doesn't fucking shower as an abuser whatsoever. But I'm saying
I agree with what you're saying. I do. Though my point is that there's a point that it gets to where we would start to consider it harm. But you're saying, well, just having the thing, like too much oxygen can be harmful. So now just breathing oxygen is
not what I'm saying.
abuse.
I
No,
don't
it is.
understand
Yes,
how you're
it
saying
is.
I don't want to engage with that because it's fucking stupid. I don't want you to
You're
explain why
saying
that's
that
what I'm
if
saying because it's
you
fucking
get-
retarded.
No, hold on. You're saying that when you get too much of this thing, it actually becomes harmful, and now like it's
Yes, okay,
abusive.
yes.
So
Being
now if we
stinky is not
minimize
breathing
it down
oxygen.
to something,
Okay.
why?
If someone,
Why not?
if someone, yeah, because breathing oxygen is completely neutral and being stinky is not, so it makes no fucking sense at all. Okay, so like taking away someone's ability to enjoy something is like a small thing, but you take away someone's ability to enjoy anything. And but the way that I was saying that happens is like, so that you listen to music and then you get like someone like will tell you why you shouldn't be like enjoying that. And then like, oh, well, like over the course of like months, then suddenly like, oh, well, I just can't enjoy it anymore. I know all the reasons why I shouldn't enjoy this. So let's say they do that with everything you enjoy, every movie you enjoy, every TV show you enjoy. Let's say that they do that with like every food you enjoy. And suddenly you literally find yourself like after 2 years or 3 years of this, you literally cannot enjoy a single fucking thing. I think that this person has abused you.
Yes, and I'm agreeing with this again, but I'm saying that there's generally a threshold where it gets to the
Right.
point where we would actually consider it harm, and
I think it's
you're
harm in every
well
instance.
below the threshold.
No, I think I consider it like because they're all moving towards the threshold. They're clearly every instance is clearly harm, except there's one point. There's a threshold. I wouldn't call the threshold where we call it harm. I think the threshold is where we would call the person an abuser, and we would call this an untenable situation.
Well, so when I say these are things that you just don't like, or that make you feel
No, I'm
bad,
saying they cause harm.
That's a harm. That's a harm. That you don't like it. It feels bad.
Sure.
To think about it, that's a harm.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This doesn't make sense. Let's go to.
So you caused me to think about too much things that. So if you're having this conversation or whatever, and you're telling me to think about something I don't like. You tell me to think about too many things I don't like, then suddenly you're every time I talk to you, you're telling me to like think about like amputations and shit that I really don't want to think about, and you figure out all the things. Now you're like that's like a bigger harm, you know? Like so like it's like I'm trying to point it to the smallest increment where like I'm saying it's still harm, but like it's just acceptable.
But if it's acceptable, it's not. It's not harm. Like it's not immoral. It's not bad. Like
I think harm is acceptable until you meet a threshold.
Okay. Yeah, I think you just lost utility at that point. If it's acceptable,
I don't think I've lost you. Like because we both still have the threshold. It's just I'm saying like I think that if you refuse to call it harm until it meets a threshold, you're losing the utility. Like you're unable to have any analysis or nuance regarding anything before that threshold at all.
No, that's not true. So like recently the conversation about Jonah Hill came up, where I thought that everything he was doing was fine and acceptable, but at the same time, I think that carrying on that sort of behavior, if he did, like, there were some people based on a certain attribute that he didn't want her to hang out with. Now, if all of a sudden it wasn't based on a certain attribute, and it was actually just that he didn't ever want her to hang out with anybody ever, or even most people, or didn't want her going places or talking to people. Like, yes, there's a point where it starts to become harmful and controlling and abusive. But at the point that he was doing it, it just wasn't anywhere close to that. And so we were able to have that conversation of like, well, when does it get to that point? And like I said during my review, everybody agrees that abuse is on a spectrum. Like nobody disagrees with that. Everybody knows that there is some abuse that's worse than other abuse. Nobody ever disagrees with that. It's
Trust
just
me,
that
there
there
are
is
people.
a threshold of when it gets bad, when like we say like, okay, this is when it's actually bad now. This is when it's actually
Right.
morally condemnable. And that's when we call it abuse. But if we start saying like, this is like the white supremacist stuff where like everything's racist to some degree, like we just have to look at it on a spectrum. And it's like, you're losing utility in the word racist. The
I don't
point in
agree.
calling something racist is to put a red flag on it and say, this is dangerous.
But
this is dangerous. Be careful. Beware.
Right, but there's a difference here, like in how I'm doing this. I find meaningful. Maybe you don't, but I think that it's important. The way I'm talking about it is important to. So if I say that like making your partner unable to enjoy the music they like is like an acceptable like amount of abuse. If I'm going to use that language, then what I have to say is that doesn't make them an abuser. They're an abuser when they meet the threshold. So it's like I'm talking about behaviors or like situations or like things that happen, events as abusive, but like just because an event in isolation is abusive or an action or like a certain interaction is abusive, that doesn't mean that you are being abused because there's not enough to meet the threshold.
But that is how we give them the label. Like you get the label when you engage in that behavior consistently. But you're saying
Sure.
everybody engages in that behavior consistently.
Yeah, but we're not abusers until we meet the threshold.
But the threshold, again, like somebody abuses somebody once, nobody calls them an abuser. But
Right.
if they abuse people consistently, they have a pattern of behavior. You're saying the pattern of behavior has to be past the threshold. Well, the point in calling it abuse in the first place is to point out that this person is starting to meet requirements of what we consider to be past the threshold.
Sure, so we just
They're starting to do the thing, and now if they have a pattern of behavior of this thing, now we would call them an abuser. Like the red flag is only there to call out the behavior that is actually bad. That's literally the entire point of the label, is just to call out behavior that's bad.
Right. I think that all these things I'm talking about are bad. Like I probably wouldn't say like, I wouldn't say like, yeah, I think I would say that if you don't shower, you're neglectful to your partner. I think I would say that. But like that doesn't mean like, yeah, it just, that not showering is neglectful. That doesn't mean that you are a neglectful partner. It means you do one neglectful thing. I don't know. I guess.
Let's go to the notes. Let's go to the notes.
We just disagree there, but I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I'll think about it more. I'm responding to my girlfriend. I have a lot of notes. This isn't gonna. We probably already covered most of it anyway, sort of. Oh god, some of these. How. I think some of these need to just go unsaid. Or just I don't want to talk about them. So we've talked enough about like more core things. Okay, yeah, a lot of these are just going to start a massive conversation. I'm getting tired. I know you just started streaming, but I mean, here's one of my notes. You said that Destiny is receptive to criticism because he had conversations with Max. You think that proves he's receptive to criticism?
Yeah, so I think that not just the conversations with Max, the fact that like it seems like most of the time almost anybody can hop on, talk to him, criticize him. I'm nobody. I have no weight, no power, especially at the time that I hopped on and had those conversations with him. I was a much smaller streamer at the time. And yeah, he was happy to have me on, listened to my concerns, argued with me, like had that conversation with me. He seems to be willing to engage with these things when people are like coming in good faith. So
Yep. Well,
yeah.
like people, his thing is arguing with people and beating people in arguments and shit. And I don't think he ever like makes it look like he lost. He always makes it look like an optical win. And you have to, if you come in with criticisms like about how he's behaving or how he's treating people, then he's going to like literally like tarnish you and destroy you and make it look like you're mistreating people, like because he's going to retaliate. And I
In
don't
the
think that
comments of
in
that conversation for both of our VODs, there were a ton of people who were like pointing out that they thought he was doing things wrong. I saw clips of it all over Twitter from people talking about like, that's so weird that he just said it's okay to dox people like that.
exactly
He's
so
acting like he's always said that, but he never said that before. Like I think that people were pointing out that they disagreed with him and that they thought that these things were wrong. Just the issue with like there being a huge outrage is that most of the outrage for all of the other things came back when they actually happened and everybody freaked out about them then. The only new thing in that conversation was the doxing thing.
that's the thing I was going to bring up, because the doxing, like I was trying to say, like, so you bring this criticism of him and he's like, I don't care, doxing's fine. So like that's not really him engaging, like so that's not being receptive to criticism. That's being receptive to fighting about it. But like he's not actually like, so like if you tell me that I'm like I'm doxing people and stuff, like what I'm doing is causing harm to people, and me to just like fight you like a normal like argument, like it's just I that's not like, I should be like, okay, let me, like, I don't.
Doxing is weird. Like it is a hard one. So I think doxing is wrong. I do. But in the real world, nobody freaking cares if you find out where somebody lives. Like that's insanely normal. And especially for somebody like Destiny, who everybody knows where he lives. They know his real name. They know all of this stuff about him. Same with me. I give my real name. I tell people where I live. Like, for people who are open with all this information, it is insanely infuriating engaging with people who are not open with that information, because they have so much more cover than the rest of us. They have so much more anonymity than the rest of us, and it's so frustrating engaging with those people. I don't want people doxed us because there's freaking crazy people on the internet who will do dumb things with that information. But they have my information and they can do those dumb things with it.
So when you are having arguments with people, you're like, I'm more scared than you because people know where I live. So I want you to be just as scared as me. But you don't do
I've
it.
I've had conversations with I had a conversation with Aristocracy a while ago, where I was telling her, I think what I said, I got in a fight with somebody else first, and she didn't like what I said about her. So she came on to talk about it, and I was like, look, you are anonymous. You don't show your face. You don't have a name. Like, nothing that you say is attached to a person. I have to eat every word that I ever say on here. Like, that is me. That is me saying it, and it is my person and my identity attached to these words every single time. But for you, you're just a freaking cartoon character. You're nobody. Like, nothing you ever say has any real world consequence to you, but it does for me. And then it sucks when I'm in a conversation and I have no idea if you're even a real person, if you're even saying real opinions, if I have no idea, because you can just make stuff up as you go and then disappear tomorrow and come back as a new cartoon. Like, it's really frustrating when I'm on the line. My name is on the line every time I turn on stream, but then I talk to these other people who have literally nothing on the line and can do and say whatever. Yeah, like, that's a little frustrating.
I really like what you're saying, and of course you're right. I like it when you say shit like this. But so this is like, I don't want to go. I think this is a good like point to end on. But like, so I remember when you were reviewing me, I said that there are points at which I want to defend Destiny. And then you paused it and you said, oh, like, I'm just trying to like make it look like I'm empathetic. But that's not what I was trying to do. I was trying to I wasn't trying to look empathetic. I was trying to make a point. which is basically what you just did. But you're right. You're right about like that. That makes a lot of sense, and that's really good insight. But that doesn't justify like being pro doxing, and you're also not pro doxing. Like it makes you empathize and understand like Destiny, but it like doesn't actually justify like his position at all. It just like it's but like there's such a when you see someone have like a position that's like kind of like abusive, or like somebody do something abusive, you want to try to like be like, well, I want to understand why he's doing it, and I feel the same. I understand how they're feeling, and so like it makes you want to defend them because you want to defend yourself and you want to defend your family and people around you that do these things, and you don't want to like think they're abusive. You don't want to like you if you are to condemn someone when they do something like that, it's almost like you're condemning yourself and your family, and it feels wrong. So that's why I was saying that, because it reminds me of Trump, and that's what I think happens with Trump. He does this like obviously like he's a like massive asshole, massive bully. He does abusive shit all the time, and there's so many people that because he's abusive so publicly, people jump to his fucking feet to defend him.
I think when you condemn people for things that just don't make sense to everybody else, and then you're like, man, I really would love to defend this person. Yeah, it looks like a virtue signal. It looks like you're saying, I'm being objective about this. I've considered defending.
That's not what I was doing.
Really,
no,
really thought a lot about it.
I was comparing, like, dude, so you paused it after a lot of times you fucking paused it at the wrong moment. Okay, but you paused it after I said that there's times when I want to defend him, but that was just the beginning. I was said there's times I want to defend him, but it reminds me of Trump because and it reminds me of how I also want to defend Trump.
Hmm?
So it wasn't like that virtue thing. Like I'm saying, like
so it sounds like the same thing.
No, I'm trying. No, I don't think so. I'm it's something I'm just acutely aware of. Like my want to defend Trump, and I want to, like there's such a pull I think to defend abusive people.
Okay.
Like I think
right.
most people that like are big fans of Trump like are defending him because he's abusive, and they don't want to say he's abusive because like if he's abusive then we're all abusive, and we don't want to admit that.
Okay. I'm lost. It still sounds like a virtue signal. It still sounds like you're the point in saying it. You have logic behind like the thought process, but the point in saying it is to say like I've considered defending him. Like there's something in me that makes me want to defend him. And when you say that while giving this, because again, everybody knew the problem with Mr. Girl's article is that he just cut out all of the context that made anything make sense whatsoever. And then you do the same thing and then editorialize on top of it and do a whole lot of narrative building on top of it. That like it sounds like you're just like it saying I want to defend him is just such a useless statement here.
I'm saying
outside
that the
of
narrative,
just saying like I considered it.
I'm saying that you're saying that the shit that you want me to do where I like say like his side of it and I say why he did it, like for instance why he's okay with doxing.
Not his side, the context, like the facts of the matter,
right?
like
Yeah, so the context that like being a public person that was already basically doxed and how grating that is, I don't think it matters. Like it doesn't matter if you defend doxing, you're defending doxing. You should like that's like, I don't think it matters why. If you are like I've explained to you like that there are ways you can handle these situations without like fucking engaging in blood sports with people that are freaking out. Like you engaging in blood sports with people that aren't freaking out is one thing, but with people that are like like Hannah or like people that are freaking out, like it's not the same blood sports, and it just that's the time to not engage in that, and that's what I think.
Well,
so
if
I don't
you
think
had
it
gotten
matters.
to the end of my video, you would, or the end of my review.
Sure, I didn't get it.
You would have heard me yelling at my audience saying, people go onto a football field, they put on the helmet, they put on the pads, they go out there, and then when they get hit, they're really upset. They like, but nobody cares. Like, if you turn around and call the cops and say, hey, somebody assaulted me, nobody freaking cares. If you're on a basketball court and somebody steals the ball from you, you go call the cops, nobody freaking cares. You signed up for this. This is part of what you signed up for. And then when you don't like what happens, you start to play the victim, which I do as well. Like, people all start coming after me, and I turn around, I'm like, whoa, little old me, how could you? Like,
We all do
but
it.
that's also part of the game. But I don't feel bad for the person. Like, yes, I in the end, if people started calling it abusive, I'd be like, hold on, this is like, no. I signed up for this, guys. Like, this is what I'm here for. Like, don't do that. Like,
Okay,
that's taking it too far.
But if you like, so let's say that you go onto the football field, and then you get your wind knocked out of you, and you're like, get the shit beaten out of you, and you're like, fuck, what the fuck was I doing? But then you go back the next day, and they put you on the starting line again, and then then you get like the shit knocked out of you, and then you come back the next day and they put you on the starting line again. Now I'm starting to think that the coach is abusing you. Like, it's
Oh, you just stop going. If you don't want to play, don't play.
yeah, but like I think if someone like clearly just keeps doing this, like it's like, well, it's your personal response. No, it's just like you, like at that point people have to be the bigger person and be like, no, get off the field. Like,
again, you're talking about like a virtuous thing to do. But when we're talking about individuals, we have to engage with their own autonomy. Like, those people are responsible for themselves. The coach is not responsible for
okay,
that person to make them stop playing football. But if he did say, hey, this isn't good for you, you need to stop going on, that would be super virtuous of him, but it's
okay,
not wrong of him to not do that.
okay. So personal accountability, I agree with. In the right context, there's conversation to be had when you talk to the football player and you're like, dude, you have to stop. Like you need to not be making this decision. You're putting yourself in this. That's a conversation that's completely useful and valid. But then there's a systemic conversation where you're talking about the fact that we are allowing people to do this, and that's where we say that we need to uphold a certain standard of care to protect people from doing these things, and that's what I'm talking about. And they're two different conversations. So that's people, whenever this happens with all kinds of political discussions, where people talking about one will say that you should be talking about the other, but like, I'm talking about one and I do value the other one, I just not talking about that one in my video.
Yeah, but that's lying by omission. Like,
no, it's not.
Leaving out
It's a
the
different
things that would
fucking
change people's
conversation.
opinions.
It's a different conversation to be talking about the personal responsibility and personal autonomy of somebody that keeps going on the football team than it is to talk about how we should protect people from like being put on the first string every single time they get the wind knocked out of them even more because it's entertaining for the audience.
Okay. Yeah. That doesn't make sense. Like,
I think it
if
does.
if I come out here and I'm just like, oh, guys, I only care about the person shooting people. I don't care about all the people who attacked him first. I just care. Kyle Rittenhouse is a killer, guys. He's a killer. He killed people. That's all. I'm just trying to
That's
tell
not
that part of the story.
the
That's what
systemic
I'm
analysis. Okay, so there's two things there. So the personal analysis was the one that was the minority. So I think it's more valuable to talk about how he had to defend himself, like he was in a situation where his life was in danger. But then the systemic conversation that everybody jumped to immediately was, and most of the people got the facts wrong about, like, they thought he killed like black people or something. But the systemic conversation is like, well, like, we shouldn't have had these riots in the first place as part of that. We shouldn't have like had him needing to have the gun out there. We shouldn't have people trying to police the streets like that. This is a situation that's untenable. That we like, that is the systemic conversation. They're two different conversations. One about what he personally should have been doing, and what about what we should do as a society to protect people from being in that situation. You can't have them both at the same time.
No. You have to have both of them at the same time. If all I do is talk about if all I do is talk about the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse went to a protest with a gun, and this causes problems, guys. This is a messed up thing to do. We need to stop letting people go to protests with guns. We need to start discouraging this, right? Mm-hmm. It starts to like make it sound like I'm condemning somebody. like I have to add in the context to that entire scenario if I'm talking about him specifically. If you want to talk about the systemic problems, you can talk about the systemic problems without the specific examples. But if you add in the specific examples, you have to give the specific context.
That's why. Okay, that is why on the description of my video, I have like a like a really like glowing introduction to Destiny. Like I'm saying, like he's a role model and he's a teacher to people, and he's like not like just a bad person. I don't think he should be deplatformed, and I don't think he should go to jail. He's not breaking any rules. I just think that his behavior should be criticized, and we should hold him accountable and have like standards and say you're hurting people. That's all I think. And so I tried to like, so I'm not going into all like the counter examples of the alternative perspective, the personal accountability perspective. But I do try to account for that, and I feel responsible to say, like, I'm not trying to literally completely condemn him. I just think his behavior should be like critiqued, and that's the conversation.
If you call somebody abusive in example after example after example after example, you don't have to specifically call them an abuser. Everybody else is going to call them an abuser now.
Well, I think
they fit the pattern of behavior.
You think he is an abuser, but not like
sure,
illegally.
But the point is, yes, the point is that like you're laying out the pattern of behavior. Everybody else is going to come to their own conclusions about this. But you're, like you knew when you made this that the biggest criticism of Mr. Girl was not adding in the context, right? You knew that, right?
I don't like that criticism at all. I don't agree with that. And also he did add like what like people said that he should have had like clips or like audio like of like all like the things like, and he added that all in. He added like a second part of the report.
But some of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the whole report is like now like very populated with audio clips, and I had some like clips and examples and stuff, but I mean,
or even like screenshots of the DMs instead of just telling us what the DM said. Like, but yeah, like a lot of this is like, just trust me, bro, stuff that we don't trust.
Most of it is logs. Most of it is transcripts. Like the vast majority is logs and transcripts.
Wait, yeah, no, that's the point, is that like it's a transcript that he's saying, just like, trust me, this is what the transcript says, instead of like showing the actual video or showing
people
the
are
logs,
saying that he got the transcripts wrong.
No, again, we don't even have to say that. Like, we don't even have to say you got it wrong. We can just say, I don't know if you got it right. Like, that's all we have to say.
You
also,
think that
thank
he's
you,
lying
Erudite, for the raid.
You think he's lying about the transcripts?
No, I didn't say that.
You don't. You think he doesn't deserve to be trusted because they're transcripts and they're not.
Nobody deserves to be trusted.
All right. Well, somebody should like look into it and see if the transcripts are accurate or not.
Sure, but I like, again, like, he talked about this as though it was journalism, but with a whole lot of trust me, bro stuff. And
I mean, like journalists are not allowed to like take a transcript and be like, this is the transcript. And then if they're wrong, like if they're presenting false information, you can certainly hold them accountable. But yeah, journalists will take shit. Like, so let's say I speak to a journalist and they write a quote. I tell them, Smith is super cool, and that's the quote they're gonna use, and they put that in their thing. But then people are like, well, we can't trust you that he actually said that because you didn't actually include a recording of him saying that. I think that's fucking bullshit.
No. But you like, so quoting different sources, and it, like, especially in the online sphere, like if we claim something about like DMs or something like that, we all show like the DMs. Like, we actually show like screenshots of them every single time. Or if we say something happened in a video, we show the clip of the video or a link to a clip, or that, like, this is just the way everybody does stuff. And like, yeah, that's just it's important, but it didn't have to be there for everything, but especially like some of the most important claims.
I don't think that there's any, like, he's not like, most of the DMs and transcripts are like mostly like boring, and I don't think they're faked. And if you think they're faked, then
We're
I
not,
guess then the
again,
whole
it
thing
doesn't even
is.
matter if they're faked. Again, I'm not saying they're faked. Like, a lot of them, if he had added in like the actual screenshots, we would have seen more context than what he added. Or if he had added in a clip, we would have seen a lot more context than what he added. But instead, we got like the editorialized version that was like, okay, here's the bad parts. Look how bad these parts
Yeah,
are.
he actually went as so far as to say that he wanted to take it out of that context because he wanted it to be like, he wanted you not to hear it from Destiny's mouth. He wanted you to read it without hearing Destiny's voice, which you can say is manipulative. That's a
Well,
completely.
no. There's no, because there's parts again where he's not even explaining why things are happening. He's just like telling you Destiny did this thing, and then you don't know why Destiny did that or what the reason was or what the context around the situation was. It was
But
just a
then
bunch of Destiny did this horrible thing.
well, then if he's not telling you why he did it and stuff, then he's actually not editorializing. He's just presenting the data and letting you think about it yourself. Most of the report is so benign and like there's so much boring shit in there. Like he could have cut out so much. Like,
Sure.
It's like, yeah, and he didn't put like because he only put shit in there that he could verify. I mean, if you're to trust him, what he said, like,
Sure.
and it makes sense because like I'm sure he was told a bunch more shit like correctly or wrong, like like people told him wrong shit. So he only put shit in
Mhm.
that he could verify, and I think that dramatically limited him too. And what was left is what is in the report, and so I just don't. It doesn't seem like suspicious. It seems, I don't know. But yeah, I think that the criticism that he removed the context of like Destiny's voice, he says that that is intended, and you can say that that is, sort of manipulative too. But I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense both ways.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
No. What is it the meme, the Destiny gotcha.
Okay, buddy.
Gotcha.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Nice talking to you.
All right. Love you.
Bye. He doesn't love me. Okay. Good night. Take a nice snort of methamphetamine when you wake up. Good night.